In the world we're living in, just trying to keep up can feel like a full-time job. But what if you had a sort of mental toolkit to help you not just survive, but actually thrive? Well, today we're going to build one. We're putting together a set of powerful psychological tools just for the modern learner. So let's get into it. I mean, does it ever feel like you're just trying to drink from a fire hose of information? Like new challenges are just popping up constantly? Yeah, if you're nodding your head right now, you are so not alone. It's kind of the signature feeling of the world we live in today, and it absolutely demands a new way of thinking and learning. Well, believe it or not, there's actually a term for this whole feeling: VUCA. It stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And honestly, this framework just perfectly captures our modern world. A world where change is crazy fast, the future is a big question mark, problems are all tangled up, and the rules, well, they're often not even written down. Okay, so how on earth do we navigate a VUCA world? It's pretty clear that just cramming more facts into our brains isn't going to cut it. We need to upgrade our own mental software, right? We need a brand new toolkit of cognitive skills that lets us adapt, create, and really take charge of our own learning. All right, let's grab the first tool from our kit, the Idea Generator. This one is all about creativity, that incredible skill that lets us cook up new solutions and see opportunities where everybody else just sees a dead end. So, what is creative thinking, really? Let's be clear, it's not some kind of magic power that only artists have. Nope, it's a process. It's about connecting the dots in totally new ways, looking past the obvious stuff, and coming up with ideas that are not only original, but actually useful. Now, this is where it gets really cool. Think about how we power this creative engine. We're all super familiar with convergent thinking. It's like a multiple choice test where you're just trying to find that one single right answer. But real creativity, that's powered by divergent thinking, where you let your mind explode with many possible solutions, branching out in every direction imaginable. And this right here shows you that anyone can become more creative. It is not magic, it's built on these four key pillars. First up, you've got to have openness, just being willing to even consider a new or weird idea. Then it's fueled by curiosity, that little voice that's always asking why and what if. It takes some courage for invention to actually break away from the normal way of thinking. And it's all sparked by our imagination, the power to see what isn't even there yet. These are like muscles we can all build up. Okay, so having a bunch of great ideas is awesome, but you need fuel to make them happen, right? That brings us to our second tool, and you'll see how this builds on the first, the motivation engine. This tool is all about figuring out what really, truly drives us to learn and to keep going when things get tough. And there's this really powerful idea for this called self-determination theory. What it says is that deep, lasting motivation, it's not about rewards or punishments. It's about feeding three basic psychological needs we all have. Autonomy, which is that feeling of having a choice; competence, the feeling that you're good at what you do; and relatedness, that need to feel connected to other people. And this leads to a really, really important question about how we set our goals. Are you running on mastery goals, where you just genuinely want to understand something and get better for your own sake? Or are you running on performance goals, where the main driver is to look smart and do better than everyone else? The answer really changes your whole learning journey. And here's the bottom line, folks. A performance goal might get you that A on the test, sure, but it's that mastery mindset that builds skills that actually stick with you. It helps you fall in love with learning, it makes you way more resilient when you fail, and it keeps you hooked for the long run. All right, time for our third tool. And honestly, this might just be the most important one of all. This is the tool that lets you manage all the others. Think of it like your brain's own personal control panel. We're talking about the superpower of metacognition. So, metacognition, it sounds complicated, but all it really means is thinking about your thinking. It's that self-awareness that lets you kind of step outside yourself and just watch your own learning process. Are you really getting this? Is this study method actually working? What's the next move? And here's how you actually use it. You just ask yourself these simple but incredibly powerful questions before you start, while you're in the middle of it, and after you're done. I mean, just think about it. A simple little question like, do I actually understand what I just read, can be the difference between really learning something and just letting the words wash over you. When you get right down to it, this is what turns you from a passenger into the actual driver of your own learning journey. It's the master skill that makes your whole toolkit come together and work like a well-oiled machine.
Okay, so we've got our three main tools, but there's one more crucial piece to this puzzle. A toolkit is pretty much useless if it's a one-size-fits-all deal. We have to figure out how to adapt these tools for our own unique minds.
The thing is, we all learn differently. It's just a fact. Our backgrounds, our strengths, our cognitive wiring, it's totally unique to each of us. The most effective learners don't just blindly follow a formula. They tweak and customize their approach, embracing what makes them different.
And what's so powerful here is how we can start to reframe this idea of neurodiversity. Things like ADHD and dyslexia, they aren't flaws or deficits. A better way to think of them is like different cognitive operating systems. As you can see, they might come with unique challenges. And yeah, some shared feelings like frustration. But they also bring their own unique set of strengths to the table. And this idea goes even deeper. Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences pretty much argues that the whole idea of a single IQ score is just wrong. Instead, we have all these different kinds of smarts, like being word smart or body smart or people smart. Someone who is body smart, for example, might understand a really complex process best by physically building a model of it. The trick is figuring out what your smarts are and using them to your advantage.
Whew, okay, we have covered a ton of ground. So let's bring it all back home and look at the big takeaways for your own personal learning journey. So let's boil it all down. Here is your core mental toolkit in 3 simple steps. 1. Generate ideas using that creative, divergent thinking. 2. Fuel your drive by focusing on mastery and your needs for autonomy, competence, and relatedness. And 3. Steer the whole process using your control panel, metacognition.
I love this quote from the psychologist Jean Piaget because it just nails it. Learning isn't something that's just passively done to you. It's an active thing. It's a dance between you and the world around you, where you're constantly interacting, adapting, and growing.
And that right there is the real goal. It's not just about knowing these tools exist. It's about having them in your toolkit ready to go and being self-aware enough to look at a challenge and consciously think, okay, this problem needs some divergent thinking. Or, you know what? I need to do a quick check-in on my motivation here. So I want to leave you with this one last question to chew on. We've talked about the idea generator, the motivation engine, and the control panel. Now, the real question is, which one of those tools in your learner's toolkit are you going to sharpen first? Thanks so much for joining me for this.